EGFC. Going up against them for almost anybody is just devastating. I mean, if you're an Overwatch player, they are the St. John's of CSGO, right? If you're a Rocket League player, they're the Seton Hall of CSGO. Every esport here at EGFC has a team like this, and right now Colorado is just one of those top dogs.
It is, and like you said, they're also the same position in Overwatch. They're tied for first, being 6-0 on the Overwatch side. So clearly, a team that an organization that takes their FPS very seriously, and doing all right on the Smash and Rocket League side as well. Not quite as successful, but certainly huge ups to their program overall. Villanova has generally kind of seemed like they're in a little bit more of a building year over the course of their programs. Some of their previously very dominant teams, like their Rocket League team, is rebuilding and recreating their rosters and such. For a couple of some graduating seniors, so great opportunity for them to. Oh my goodness, Cozy! Those are just wild shots.
Yeah, Cozy making sure the enemy team is anything but going to be able to find a couple of great kills there. And blink and you miss it, Colorado winning the pistol round. So that is already a swap from what we saw previously. It was Villanova who came out on top of the pistol round during overpass.
Yeah, very quick round, very decisive from the side of Colorado to just, a couple clicks and it's over. So no bomb plant on the side of Villanova, as we saw previously, means no rifle buys on the second round. They're going instead to opt for the ultralight purchasing nothing, and they're trying for a close misdirect play. So they have drawn most of the Colorado players over to the B site, and they're deciding to kind of play around where it is. They're making plenty of noise to let them know that Colorado is where it is. But you see the bomb and internet coming out onto a site from Palace, but Cozy, who we saw those dominant headshots from, is sitting in that Palace position and is not gonna. Oh, here's the bomb going down. Oh, they're going to get it out. So internet's there, and he's just going to try to hold on to his life against an M4. That's a bad idea. And the remaining two players from Villanova gone. But the bomb going down means that they're going to have some 8Ks and some reasonable utility going into the next round.
Yeah, that reasonable utility could be helpful. I like that you called it an ultralight buy. It's not even like a regular buy. It's a light buy. It's an ultra light buy. And also something I keep meaning to bring up and I keep blanking on is that RC as a player has the best stat line over all matches, and we obviously saw that happen on Overpass. I meant to bring that up 100 times, so let me just shoehorn it in there while I'm thinking about it. But I mean, definitely RC has been an insanely strong player. Oh, it's going to be Tubby who finds a great kill early on to Fancy Lad. Fancy Lad has been a real powerhouse player as well, but there's RC speaking the devil and they shall appear, getting that trade out. 4v3 in favor of Colorado. But as I say it, RC finds another kill. Kwanye goes down. It's going to be Colorado and RC just all day long. Reshiram and Birdie are going to be the last two left alive. Maybe they're able to find a couple of exit frags, but winning this one's going to be tough.
It is, and this is kind of one of the dangers of the many approaches that you can take to Mirage. Certainly, you can try to just sort of attack one side or the other, but the more successful teams will always have some level of mid control, and if you can wrestle away that from the CT side, you have a lot better, a much higher degree of flexibility in ultimately deciding where you want to go. But Colorado has chosen to play, connector up on Cat and then also from window. So until Villanova is able to deal with that, they're just not going to have it as much flexibility, and they're going to have to deal with these rotations. And Ertoshi able to bring an end. Oh, Villanova first rifle round not as successful as they would have hoped, and that means Colorado's at 3-0, looking at a 4-0 with Villanova being on pennies.
Yeah, that is going to be just a best-case scenario for Colorado there. Like we said, this is their map pick, so they're playing about on par with at least how I would expect to see them kind of bringing this map to the table. That is, let's see if they're able to continue this momentum moving forward. We see Villanova has gone with again another ultralight by really not overextending by any means. A great call with that, but let's see if this bites from the butt at all. Artoshi falls at least one weapon in favor of this team right now, but RC finding a double kill out the gate, so that kill onto Artoshi already no longer worth it. See a lot of action. RC goes down though. Tubby able to steal that weapon, and that's going to make a big difference at the end of the day. Reshiram taken out. 3v2 turns to 3v1, turns to 3v none. Internet will be the fifth and final member to fall on the side of Villanova, and Colorado going up 4-0.
I think that was a great execution on the side of Villanova to get in there and get the bomb down, though. I think the biggest difference there is we didn't see any mollies out from the side of Colorado on the defensive front, which gave Villanova the opportunity to just push up and force the B site players to just be in a rough position ultimately. And Tech Nines are really hard to deal with when you're not quite expecting them or you're out of position from where you wanted to be. So props to them. They're able to get the bomb down. That means that they're coming back into this next round with lots of AKs, lots of utilities, and probably the best shot at putting a round on the board that we've seen so far this map.
The timeout coming out from Villanova now does make a lot of sense. They're obviously falling 4-0 in a situation where they really should not have, fallen 4-0. That's never a great sign. But we saw we saw Colorado do the same thing last map, and the Colorado did end up winning. So just because you lose the first 4 rounds is by no means a death sentence for the remainder.
Yeah, I think that the benefit of the down or the timeout so early in the half, which is a little atypical, I think, if you think about general strategic timeout timing, is that they know that they've been in a position where, they've had a rough couple of rounds to start out with. They are now coming into this place where they have, the best chances I mentioned to win a round. So they want to take a moment, take a breath, make sure everybody's centered and prepared and ready to execute on the plan. And if they're able to take this away, they are going to be looking at a much lighter buy from the side of the CTs, being able to force that. And there, of course, being no loss bonus on the side of Colorado right now. That means that they're not going to get much in a loss. So now, fortunately, Fancy with that op, which we saw him do some really, really dirty things on the CT side of Overpass, excuse me, the T side of Overpass, continuing to do that. Wow, that center is just a shooting gallery for Colorado.
It seems like it really has been for quite a while now. We see Tummy get a kill, but Cozy's already going to find that trade out. Colorado, they're up 4-1. Probably going to be 4-0 very soon. Jumps up and doesn't even get to touch the ground before they are removed from this mortal coil. Colorado going up 5-0 on the game. This is just wildly dominant so far.
If you're Villanova, you're probably feeling pretty demoralized, and certainly no one can blame you for that. But the real question is whether they're able to fight through that adversity and not let the fact that the first 5 rounds have obviously not gone their direction in any real way, except for the being able to get the bomb down in that Tech 9 eco round. But otherwise, it's really up to them to take more of these dominant positions back. But unfortunately, losing players in this way without being able to get a return for it is just not the recipe for success.
Yeah, 100%. When you lose a player, if you're able to refrag straight away, it's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. However, when you lose a player and you don't even get damage onto the enemy team, that's when you're really starting to, bite your nails a little bit, getting a little bit nervous. Let's see if Villanova can turn this around. They find a bit of damage onto Cozy. It looks like a little bit more onto a couple players on the side of Colorado, but engaging has just been so hard for them. Internet is going to be getting up close and personal, probably just looking for an opportunity, but they're just going to get a little bit of action without Internet on the line. 2v3, so Villanova, it's possible to win, but this has been a very unfortunate series for them so far. Let's see if they're able to put that first round on the board. Internet is going to find a kill. You only need 2 more, but rush round falls. Internet not far behind. Villanova, they've really got to keep an eye on their back because that is probably the 8th or 9th round we've seen them lose because somebody snuck up behind them.
And kind of a strange mirror continuing element of it, we're seeing that Colorado, much like Sienna was doing in the previous matchup, being incredibly aggressive. And as soon as there's an opening, we see RC and some of the other players at different times immediately moving in positions to flank. So I think that's the second time on the A site that we've seen a member of Colorado actually following through T-spawn to get something up from that A ramp. And it's just really difficult to deal with because now that means if you're Villanova, you're aware that that's something that they want to do. You have to potentially give up a player in order to make sure that you're able to follow your flank to, if not suppress that and ultimately win that 1v1 or 1v2, depending on what the flank is. But at least to give you a heads up that something's going to happen, because otherwise you end up like they just did in that last round where, 2 players, a pretty good position for them to have been in that situation, but RC, so dangerous, as we talked about, his stat line across the whole league right now, is not someone that you want sneaking up on you.
Yeah, you definitely do not want somebody who has one of the best stat lines that we've ever seen just walking up completely for free behind you. That is certainly going to be a scary thing to consider or keep an eye out on. I want to see now, though, if Villanova can find some way to just disable RC and everything they bring to the table. RC has been so impactful as an individual 100 times over. So if Villanova can somehow find a way to just remove them from the equation, that could really help them out here. But instead, it's Tubby who's going to be taken offline first. Fantasyland able to find that great op shot, and Fantasyland is going to fall as well. So immediately in that 4v4, the first time we've seen a refrag in quite a while. However, Quan barely living to tell the tale. Cozy finds internet. It looks like Birdie will fall as well. Colorado, they've got this one in the bag once again, unless Villanova gives us a miracle.
It's definitely worth noting in that opening side that Fancy has just been unchallenged in that window position. I don't think that since we've started, we've seen a smoke from spawn into the window that's landed successfully. There was a smoke in the window there, but it was off to the side, which left it wide open for them to continue their dominance in that mid position. And again, because they're playing really far up on both Cat and in Connector, it's giving them a lot of comfort in taking a little bit more of these risks to say, like, we know that there's two other players here to get the refrag if something goes wrong. And that has created a lot of control in that mid position, and something that Villanova has not really been able to answer to. Birdie able to take that kill from the top of mid definitely made a difference, but it's not been enough to ultimately lead to success.
Yeah, 100%. And it stinks because Villanova, there's been quite a few rounds where they're so close, but like you said, ultimately they can just not find those successes when they needed them. Aratoshi picking up that 5th and final kill of the round. Colorado being found 7-0. That is going to be a really great way to start the map. Literally could not be any better, and I just don't see them slowing down anytime soon.
I think you're right. There's nothing to suggest in any of their play that they've really had any weaknesses. I mean, every time that a site's been attacked, there's been at least 2 players there to answer it. But as I say, that internet able to take off Fantasyland's head, which is exactly the type of challenge that we were talking about, what they needed. So they still have both of those players on either side of to give a big advantage, but getting a little bit greedy. Lucia trying to go for that op is going to take him down by Tuffy Muffins. So now Villanova with the man advantage, 2-man advantage.
Yeah, a 2-man advantage at that. That's really this is easily the best they've looked in quite a while. If they ever had an advantage, it was maybe, like a 1-man advantage or a 20 HP advantage. But now they've got the 2 online. However, dang it, RC, I'm trying to make a point. Can you just give me 10 seconds without killing the entirety of the enemy team, please? RC, what is that? 10-2 right now, just absolutely demolishing any hope that Villanova had of that advantage. Now tied up 3-3, and as long as RC is alive, it might as well be 4-3 because that player, they are a 1-man army.
As you can see there, RC playing from that cat position is going to be able to spot Villanova jumping out of apartments, and is going to be a continued suppressing position out of that as Villanova goes down. Reshiram. What an easy cleanup it was for Colorado to take what was a bright spot in the Villanova offense and just snuff it out entirely.
Yeah, that was devastating, honestly. Villanova looking great. Like I said at the beginning of the round, the best they had looked in a notable while, and still somehow it is just completely interrupted by Colorado, finding themselves up 8-0. I mean, Tyler, do you think there's a chance we go just the 15-0?
You never. I mean, there's always a chance. It's like, you might be attacked by a duck, or a cow or something. Like, sure, it's very low chances, but there's always a chance. So, if Colorado continues on the warpath that they've been on, I think that's certainly a likely outcome, or potentially likely outcome at least. But certainly, Villanova on their 3rd timeout is still searching for whatever that magic bullet is to try to get something beyond just those small victories. I mean, like, they've had a couple of bomb plants, they've had some really great openings, and I think the difference in a lot of those rounds has been their the presence in mid, where you saw it once they lose Fancy Lad, it's suddenly mid's a little bit more of an option for where they want to go. Right. But unfortunately, where they've fallen short is ultimately make it on to the bomb site and then their post plant, which, to their credit, has largely been on eco rounds. So post plant setups, not being able to acquire weapons along the way, has put them at that disadvantage. But now that they've got weapons and they've got their utility back, this is something where they absolutely have to start winning some rounds back, or, like you said, could be a 15-0, and that's definitely not the position that they want to be in.
Not to jump back like crazy far, but did you know more people are killed by cows a year than they are by sharks? Isn't that crazy?
I believe that.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
My grandparents had a dairy farm, and certainly saw the dangers firsthand of that. So I 100% believe that.
Cows are a little
Cows
scary.
kick,
Yeah. Well,
and
people
also
are
they can
also
just
killed.
like lay on you.
People are also killed by more vending machines than sharks, and vending machines I don't think kick. So you know,
But
you
they
never
do fall
know.
over sometimes,
That's
especially
true.
when they get stuck and you give them you try to give them the what for, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, if you're going to abuse me, I'm just going to fall on top of you."
You heard it here first,
That's
folks. Please do
that's a
not rock
thing.
vending machines. I promise your snack is not worth it.
It's true. $2.50. I think I'm worth more than that.
I would
I'd
like to think
I am.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. But as we say that, we're kind of seeing a lot of life slipping out of the eyes of Villanova, metaphorically speaking, as they continue to bleed lives out of that mid position, where they understand certainly that owning that position makes a big difference, but they are just not quite coming at it from the right directions as it relates to the strategy. So they still are in a position where they are now up in mid. They're much further than they've been in previous rounds, but they maybe just need to do more of that. But unfortunately, the immediate answers are just kind of snuffing out all of the potential benefits that they might have seen.
Yeah, those potential benefits are unfortunately just not non-existent. Honestly, it feels the benefits for Villanova, I should say. It feels like they really find that, you know, early rounds they'll get a trade here or an elimination there, but they really struggle to capitalize off the back of this. Now, Restaurant has been all up. There's a world where you hit the nastiest 3 no-scopes I've ever seen, but you're not going to do that before the bomb goes for that defuse, so they're going to choose to save the weapon. But I mean, Colorado's about to hit double digits, and Villanova hasn't even put a round on the board.
That's just really difficult to get past. Like, that's a block where you mentioned several times, and it is certainly true, is that CSGO is very momentum based, and right now all of that momentum is in Colorado's favor. But if Villanova is able to take back some of these rounds, get 1 or 2, and start stringing those together, that's definitely an opportunity for them to, make something out of it. I mean, there's no reason that they should, go into this half with less than at least a handful of rounds.
Yeah, I mean, even at this point, 1 round would be successful, right? And as stupid as that sounds, like, obviously, except like 1 round is going to make a huge difference. But it's important to note that even that momentum would help. Getting that round on the board obviously takes a round away from the opponents, and there's definitely some opportunities to walk away in a positive light. But as of right now, Colorado, they are trying to make sure that Villanova spends the rest of their lives in the shade.
Hey, maybe just death from above is the right answer. Birdie able to get that opening kill onto the site. Tubby with a follow-up onto RC means that a 4v2 situation is quite favorable from a numbers perspective, but we say that, and it's Fancy Lad and Fluja, and boy, are they dangerous.
Yeah, literally nobody else can be more dangerous. Fancy Lad, we've seen get a 4K before. I think they've evaded a 5K, but perhaps that makes an appearance right now because Fancy Lad already found one. Or no, somebody was already dead, wasn't? So this would be a 4K once again. Fancy Lad already found a pretty crucial elimination there, trying to find the remaining 3, but oh, nope, never mind. Tubby Muffin is going to be able to find that 1 tap and just send Colorado packing. So not a 15-0 on the board. Villanova finally bringing themselves back to life.
So important to see those rounds coming back, and it's one of those things where the mentality on these teams are obviously going to be in stark contrast to one another, right? Colorado is feeling very good about where they are. They're confident in their movements. They're able to push that. I mean, in a close game, there's no way in any world that Fancy Lad, tries to go for that at 4v1. But he comes back immediately in this next round already with the early 2 early picks. And it's just going back to business as usual for Colorado. They are not interested in allowing that 1 round to go any further.
Yeah, they're trying to clip that 1 round's wings before it can even leave the ground. Let's see if there's going to be any success from Villanova, though. Internet and Tubby Muffin.
Knows, I think.
Internet and Tubby Muffin are 2 very strong players. Maybe they're able to do something with this, especially taking out Fancy Lad. However, RC still alive, and that is basically 5 people. RC's terrifying at this game. Tubby Muffin is going to go for and find the bomb plan, and Internet will find Aratoshi, but Tubby Muffin taken out in the exact same moment. What is that? 6 HP, 8 HP, and yeah, you might as well go for the defuse.
Not playing for him at all. There's no hope there, unfortunately. I mean, that was better looking and certainly deeper into the round than we've gotten in quite a few of the last 11. So, there's something to potentially build on there. And that's a positive note to take on the side of Villanova, because Colorado allowed, internet to get into jungle and ultimately create some problems and win some of those gunfights. But unfortunately, with so many dominant players on the side of Colorado, every person that you lose on the side of Villanova is a huge risk. And Fancy Lad is just, if I'm Villanova, you just have to give up on mid right now. You've got to find a different way to approach that.
Yeah, I think Internet being on this entry here as well is not going to be as effective as they want it to be. Internet, when we've seen them overperform, has never been on that entry position. It's been kind of picking up the latter half of the rounds or engaging a little bit slower. But right now, we just constantly see Villanova storming in, holding W, and while Internet gets a kill every time, they get killed immediately after every single time. And that one-for-one trade is just not what Villanova needs right now. Tubby Muffin, again, caught in a 1v3 situation. Never mind.
Fancy Lad, I mean, we've across the board on Colorado, nobody is lagging behind. Even Aratoshi has only 8 kills, and that's just because he's not been positioned where the action has been. So, there's no notes for them, right? They're doing what they need to do. They're shutting everything down in mid, and they're making sure that anywhere that Villanova piece their head out, that it's going to be punished. So Villanova kind of smartly putting less of an effort towards mid, maybe, although I'm saying that, and they're coming out, and Fancy Lad takes out Tubby and might get a second kill as he has. So that has been a really difficult place to come from. It's so infuriating to start a round 4 and 5, when you're 5 seconds in, and have that keep happening for you.
Yeah, it's every time the round begins, somebody on Villanova gets their head taken clean off their shoulders, and that's just so painful because the team has yet, on the entirety of Mirage, I don't think they've engaged as a full 5 even a single time, but for the first time in a long time, they've got that number tie up once again. However,
no, RC's top mid.
Oh, no, you're dead. Yeah, 100%. Nowhere to go. RC was waiting for it. That is going to be crucial. Internet, such a power player I talked about. They thrive in moments like this where they can play a little slower. They find RC. Let's see if they can find Aratoshi and give Villanova that second round win. Aratoshi gets the element of surprise, but does not find the kill. Internet might be able to get a quick peek if they're fast enough. However, both of them terrified to turn that corner because they know the other one's just waiting for them on the other side.
Oh man, that's such a hard angle to play from in connector if you're not kind of stationary and prepared for it, and not knowing where everybody's is. That's really tough. I mean, Internet, all credit to him to be able to bring that back. He, Birdie, and Tubby at this point are kind of the only players making an impact on that team, just because Juan or Reshram or the others, one, they're getting picked super early and very quickly. Or they're just ending up in a position where they're not really able to create much of an impact. So that is a huge difference in terms of the score lines that we're looking at, as well as just the general stats of each team.
Tubby is going to fall early, and Tubby currently 9 eliminations. So on the upper echelon of the team, Elim's on the side of Villanova and Colorado, they've got that numbers advantage. Maybe Internet gets a kill on it. Cozy flicks fast enough to find that kill. The trade does come through, but Villanova still in that 4v3 matchup. What a shot from Fancy Lad. Quantity turns the corner directly into the line of sight. RC picks up a grenade kill onto Reshiram as well. It's up to Birdie all over again. And there is literally nothing going to happen there. Colorado going to be able to find that extra round win. They're putting another one away, 13-1. This is just, I don't know what Villanova could do here.
Fancy Lad to me is kind of like that. I don't know what the right analogy is, but I kind of think of him as like the black hole player in a round where when you're trying to attack a site and the other team's on CT, just knowing that wherever you go, they're just there and ready to take that out. I mean, Fancy Lad just takes out 2 players from a completely different position than when he's been playing on. And despite the fact that he goes down to Internet, that's a 2-for-1 trade. And this is like, it's frustrating for me, watching this, to see Villanova continue to try to force that mid control, and they're just not getting it. I mean, Internet able to here just to pull out a miraculous thing, and that's only because they were able to take out Fancy Lad. Right. But without that, this round probably would have been over, 20 seconds ago.
Easily so. This round would have been even more in favor of kind of the action there. That makes no sense. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't say anything. Anyway, Colorado, they are gonna be in that positive position once again. Internet with a disgusting shot, honestly, a very clean one on to a player on the side of Colorado. It is up to Cozy. I mean, it's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna lie to you, Cozy. It's gonna be very difficult to turn this one around.
You say that, but you get the right boost in the right places, and if they're not looking the right direction, they're expecting him to come from market, but able to get that. Oh man, the HP for these players is so low. Internet misses the shot. That could be the difference maker.
That truly could be the difference maker here. Quan. Oh, Internet down. No shot. Cozy turns this one around. They go for that spray and pray. Quan actually will not find the kill. Absolutely devastating there. That one hurts.
I feel the pain from that.
Second time we've seen that today.
Yeah, I mean, it was what, like two points of health or something like that.
Yeah.
We used one bullet coming on to the B site when they were playing on the CT side of Overpass, and that's a potential backbreaker. And the hardest part of this is, of course, Villanova switches over to the other side now on the CT front. We're in pistol round. If Colorado wins this, which they're already getting that opening kill, then there's one map point and they'll have all of the economic advantage in the world.
Yeah, we're definitely getting to that scenario that my good friend and caster Jag always likes to call the panic button scenario, where if Villanova loses this one, they realistically probably have lost the map, because the economy is just going to be so aggressively in favor of Colorado that Villanova would have to win with only pistols. And it looks like they're going to, winning with pistols here is a little bit different, of course, but Gwandier is definitely going to help out Villanova going for the defuse already. And I mean, hey, that's another point on the board. Every point counts.
Agreed. And so they will fend off defeat for at least one additional round. That means they could continue to build on this. I mean, certainly winning a pistol round means that they'll have a little bit more economy to build in this. But because Colorado got the bomb down, they are not going to respect the idea of being conservative by any means. And they're instead of saying, like, hey, we've got a 12-round buffer, let's just see how it goes, they're going to go for the win right now. Already pushing into that, but Reshram able to answer that with the 2 MP9 kills. Wow. Where was this Villanova for the last 14 rounds?
Something I think we are all considering. I mean, they have really become much stronger here, come to life in a whole new light. It looks like they're going to tear up Colorado once again. Fancy Lad's alive, but Fancy Lad's alive with like 10 HP. So, yeah, okay, that's going to turn to 0 in the blink of the ordinary eye. I'm not the least bit surprised to see that, as that is how these scenarios tend to go. However, I mean, Villanova, they've put 2 on the board. That's 2 more than they were able to for almost all of the map. Let's see if they're able to keep that momentum moving. Fingers crossed.
And notably, those 2 rounds were largely impact rounds from Reshram, who on the T side had finished that with, I think, just 3 kills. So now with the AWP taking control of mid, they're trying to do what Colorado was doing to them and just making it really difficult to take anything but one of these kind of individualized efforts, whether it's, apartments or otherwise.
Right.
So hopefully with a gun advantage means that they're able to clean up a little bit easier, but it's still pretty dangerous with a Deagle, as those are cannons.
Yeah, the Eagles are terrifying. I mean, one tap to the dome, you're probably going down. This is going to be that 1-for-1 trade, as Aratoshi, with the help of a teammate there, does take out Tubby Muffin. 3v2 in favor of Villanova, though, and they've got an AWP online. That's great. That's a 1-tap on either player that steps into the line of sight on the side of Colorado, so they're going to have to find that AWP before they are AWP'd.
I feel apprehensive for Villanova right now, just because even with the number of players that they have on the map, if they are just off a little bit, suddenly they're going to be running into some very uncomfortable positions and not a lot of margin for error. Cozy showing how dangerous that Deagle can be.
Yeah, that Deagle, we talked about it right at the beginning of the round, and we get to talk about it straight away again, because it comes to life there. A terrifying weapon, to say the least. Cozy trying to make the most happen with the least, but 2 players alive.
So patient.
Oh my goodness, an AWP as well. Great trigger discipline as well. Does not want to give away the location. No way! It's just 1 more bullet, and Cozy's got this one in the bag. Oh, Reshram giving Villanova that 4th round win. That was far closer than I think Villanova wanted it to be, and I believe they lost. Oh no, okay, Reshram was able to grab the AWP there.
Whew, what a deep breath that is, or a breath of life in the side of Villanova. This is certainly giving them the opportunity to feel better. Hopefully, take their axis off tilt a little bit and really buckle down to get more of these rounds on the board. Coming down to that 1v1 situation is incredibly tense and certainly not something that's great for your mental as you're thinking about these different opportunities. But that kind of what happened there? Was that a T smoke to put out the CT Molly? Whatever it was, now there is a terrorist in the jungle, which is a weird sentence to say, but it is also an unpleasant and uncomfortable position for Villanova to be as they start to move in this direction. They're able to take down 2, 3.
You don't belong there, silly. What are you doing there? Wow, Fancy Lad with a great shot. Tied up 1-1 once again. Oh, Juan got the intel, got the information on where Fancy Lad may be, but it's going to be these slow rotations, these slow peaks that could be a disaster for either. Quan going for a quick rotation. I don't think he knows. He doesn't know. Oh, Fancy Lad finds that kill.
That's so frustrating. I like the Counter-Strike player in me is screaming, just like, why is he there? How did he get there? What is happening? And we have the benefit, of course, of X-Ray and, obviously being able to read minds. And so, of course, Fancy Lad wasn't going to go for the plant. He was going to go for that ring around the rosy play, the misdirect, and ultimately that made a very easy frag. So now Villanova game point means that they cannot make any mistakes.
Yeah, Villanova is out of room. They're out of comfortability. You win these situations. Fancy Lad is going to be able to find internet early, and Birdie looks like they're going to be the next to go down, not able to quite find that secondary kill that they needed. I think Colorado's got this one. Things are looking great here. 15-4, looking like it's going to become 16-4. All 5 players left against 2 alive on the side of Villanova. Look at Fancy Lad with this patience. He knows somebody's going to turn that corner. He just doesn't know when. Oh, there it is. Fancy Lad takes out Reshiram, and it is left to Kwanye. Only 2 eliminations on the board so far. They're going to have to find 5 here to keep the dream alive for Villanova.
There's 1.
4 more.
Who said you can't do miracles with a FAMAS, right? 2.
Oh my! I would have lost my mind. I would have quit my job right here if that just happened. That would have been absolutely absurd.
Out on the road, just started to buy your Kwanye fan T-shirts and try to make a business out of that. That's a reasonable approach if that round had gone the other direction. Unfortunately, not able to pull off the clutch ace, which means that is going once again in favor of Colorado.